You Saturday. This is Saturday, the 14th day of the month of June, the year of our Lord 2025. Welcome to the Afia Sports Show, the home of sports on Afia TV. And as usual, definitely we're on the frequencies, channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 Go TV, and channel 748 Free TV. And we're running a simulcast because it's a simultaneous broadcast where we're involving Afia Radio 99.3. So you can listen to us right now if you tune in on Afia Radio. And then, of course, the calls. We will welcome your calls because it is a pleasure to enter into your living room this wonderful day. Welcome to the show. I'm Sisi Emechebe, aka Sisi the Rabbi, and I'm not doing this alone. We have the guys, the jolly good guys in the house today. Starting, of course, with Zik, blessed Zik.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, really wonderful indeed. And then, of course, we have our co-host, Emeka Maduka, the priest of football.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, really, it's great to be here, and such a wonderful week indeed. So much to happen. So much has happened this past week, and so much is happening this week. But we have a lot stacked up for you today. And starting, of course, charity always begins at home, doesn't end at home, but naturally should have a launching pad from here. And it is with pleasure that we say that from the 11th, that was just this past week, from the 11th to the 13th of June, Rangers International held a successful trials for the women because, you know, the women's team for Rangers is supposed to be set up. That's part of the criteria for you to be very, very competitive in continental football. The teams that we have, for instance, the NPFL teams like Remo Stars have their own female football team recognized.
Yeah.
Then you have, of course, the Edo Queens, that is for Bendel Insurance. You have the likes of Rivers Angels for Rivers United and the Bayelsa Queens for Bayelsa United. So Enugu Rangers do not have, at least up till this point, which is about to change, do not have a designated female football team, not one that they are affiliated with, but one that is under the auspices of Enugu Rangers. So I think wonderful development. The Rangers ladies were very soon we're going to see Rangers International Women. And it's, of course, if you look at the logo in the background, you see it's since 2025. So Rangers FC, what a wonderful way to welcome our flying antelopes.
I mean, it's a good development. It's always good to see. It's not just in Nigeria you see these types of development. You see it abroad, even in the English leagues, when you see the women's team for Man City, Chelsea, you see it for Barcelona, you see it for other likes. It's good to see that Rangers have considered this initiative and they formed the women's team. Is now to get in the right girls who wear the badge proudly and present the club.
Wonderful indeed. I mean, Zik, it's a pleasure. Like, for instance, we followed the European season also alongside our darling NPFL, Nigerian Premier Football League. And this past season, we saw what the teams, the female teams, the female Champions League. Yes, Arsenal won the Champions League by beating Barcelona in the final. And you know, if you check the number of years that the female teams have gained traction, it just shows you that it wasn't something that just started overnight. They may not be as popular as their male counterparts, but they are making inroads in the world of sports. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? How do you see this? Is there anything that should be added? It was a successful trial. You're seeing some of our lovely ladies who are the face of Enugu Rangers female team. And we're going to have many more of them because it was a wonderful time in the stadium. What's your takeaway from this exercise?
Well, of course, it's a very, very welcome development, like Emeka said. I feel it's been a long time coming. I've been hearing this for over my time in the industry, in the media industry, about Enugu Rangers supposedly should have a female team. Yes. And it's, you know, a little dent on our image as you know, football lovers here in Enugu. But hopefully the team can start getting the traction, start getting followers, start getting the sponsors, because that's the most important thing that they need, you know, to get people that will come and invest into sports, not only for the team, but for grassroots female sports and other associations. I just think that the state government should also look into, you know, financing, you know, welfare for the players, because they need it more than the males. Because, like you said, the female football or the female sports industry is not as huge as the male counterpart. But football is for everybody.
Yes.
for both male and female, and we should always preach that message.
Yes, indeed, definitely a massive step towards the culture of inclusion.
Yeah.
Our ladies have to have the opportunity to show what they're all about. We have many female bowlers in this part of the world, many of them, and this kind of platform is very, very necessary. So I want to say a big thank you to the Enugu State government for allowing this to come in place. Now, the government led by His Excellency Governor Barrister Dr. Peter Ndubisimba, and then of course the CEO himself, who cannot talk about the CEO, so GM of Enugu Rangers International, Barrister Amobi Ezaku, for making this platform very, very being in place now, and it's timely indeed, because we have to have our female teams have a voice and have expression on the field, wearing the famous jersey of Enugu Rangers. And still talking about Nigerian football, basically the football pyramid. We know what happened last season when the CAF Champions League qualification was up for grabs there, and then naturally when you finish in the NPFL, first and second get automatic qualification, and that's for the CAF Champions League. So Remo Stars, who of course, in case you're living under a rock, Remo Stars became the first team, privately owned team in NPFL history in 25 years to win the Nigerian Premier Football League. The last team to do that was Julius Berger in the year 2000. So Remo Stars, under the tutelage of Daniel Gumedede, have won the NPFL. So that gave them a straight slot into the preliminary round of the CAF Champions League 2025-2026 CAF Champions League, alongside the runners-up, of course, that's Rivers United, who also had a pretty good season, finishing as runners-up there. So what we have there, we have a good number of teams. We don't know who they are going to be tied with. The draws will come out soon, but we have a number of teams. I don't know if we have that on the table there. We have teams that are there, like for instance, we have Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates of South Africa. We have Raja Casablanca and RS Berkane, and of Morocco, MC Alger, and then Belouizdad, CR Belouizdad, of course. Then Al Hilal Omdurman, that's a Sudanese club. Then we also have clubs that start the Abidjan, like Young Africans, Manga Sport, Police FC, Mogadishu City. Of course, you can't help but mention the Egyptian giants, Al Ali, and then Pyramids FC. Pyramids, they are the current champions of the CAF Champions League, being the third Egyptian team to win it alongside Al Ali and then Zamalek. So really, it's a great thing to have them involved in this. TP Mazembe, of course, we have to mention them. Esperance Tunis. We also have Stade Malien. We have the likes of Vipers, Colombia FC, LX Sports. To mention but a few, because of time, I won't mention all of them. But these are some of the teams that have qualified for the preliminary round of the CAF Champions League for the 2025-2026 season. And it is a good thing. So Rivers United and Remo Stars, Remo Stars, let's give them credits. Remo Stars and Rivers United have earned the right to do that. And also, this is a bit of news that needs to be chipped in. The NPFL, which is a thing of pleasure to us, the NPFL, the new season for the 2025-2026 season has been fixed. The date has been fixed, the 22nd of August. For those who are lovers of Nigerian football, the 22nd of August is the kickoff date for the new season, the 2025-2026 season of the Nigerian Premier Football League. So indeed, we are gearing up for a lot, but we also need to keep our eyes open. Is this going to be our year? Now, I'm talking from a Nigerian perspective. We've not seen a Nigerian Premier Football League side qualify past the preliminary round and then get into the group. Yes.
Do you mean that we are still in the qualifier stage, not group stage?
No, that's what I'm saying. The preliminary round into qualifying stage, and they just need to have there will be a two-legged affair. We'll know who these two teams are going to be paired with, and then by the time they navigate their way through the two-legged affair, home and away, then we'll know whether they will go through to the group stage, which is also a major cash cow, because there are many remunerations that they get for being in the group stage. So I mean, will you, off the back of what Remo Stars did this season, and also off the back of what Rivers United under a former champion in Finidi George, who won the NPFL with Eimba, what are your prospects? What are your aspirations and expectations concerning these two sides? Can they break the duck for us and have a Nigerian Premier Football League side in the group stages proper of the CAF Champions League for the first time in a very long time? What do you think?
Firstly, I would like to say we always put these kind of sensational quotes in our media style based on both club sides and our national teams.
Yeah.
And I think it already builds pressure on the players. Pressure is needed. Because
definitely.
pressure is always everywhere you look at, both in your personal life and in your professional life. But I just want them to go there and test themselves, especially Remo Stars. Congratulations on winning the Nigerian Premier League. It's not easy. It's it's a difficult tournament to win. Of course, we know how it is. But for them to come out after 25 years since Julius Berger, the first private-owned institution to do that, you have to respect that. You have to give them their kudos. But I don't want to put pressure on them. We'll have to see what they do with the preliminary rounds, the team they can meet, the home and away version. Let's see what they do first. Then we now move forward from there. That's what my own observation would be.
Okay, 2 questions. Let me just, because I want to bring Emeka in on this, and then I'm also going to bring you in. Now, we've seen something notorious that's been happening over the last few seasons where, I don't know why, but most of the Nigerian Premier Football League sides somehow conveniently find themselves tied in the preliminary round with Northern African opposition, normally hosting the first leg and then meeting hostility in the second leg and then getting knocked out. It's been like a recurring theme over the last few seasons. Now, I'll ask you, Emeka, first of all, and then I'll ask Zik. I need to get your thoughts very, very quickly in a couple of minutes. What would be your preferred dream draw? Having mentioned a few of the teams that are there, we mentioned some teams that are there. What would be your preferred team draw for both Remo Stars and Rivers United? Who would you like them to lock horns with, and what are their chances should they fulfill your wish?
I, for one, would prefer to see maybe Remo Stars paired up with maybe an Eastern African club for once. At least let's give them the benefit of the doubt. See how they test. Yeah, maybe a club from that side, I guess. Rivers United maybe testing their hands against and maybe a fellow Western African side. See how good they deliver on that front. So, I mean, that's for me.
Okay, fine. We'll just hold that thought. We'll be right back after these short messages. We really need to know much about this because the stakes are very high indeed. We'll be here. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the Afia Sports Show, the home of sports on Afia TV. The frequencies still remain the same. Channel 254 DSTV, Channel 17 Go TV, and Channel 748 Free TV. Welcome back to the show. And we were talking about the CAF Champions League qualification, but now we move very swiftly within African range, African territory, because we are proud Africans. Why are we saying that? For the first time since 1986, the 3 Lions of England, or should I call them 3 kittens? I don't know. But the 3 Lions of England were defeated for the first time by African opposition since 1986. And who do we give those honors to? The Teranga Lions of Senegal, who beat England by 3-1 just this past week. And it was a wonderful showpiece indeed. England, like I said earlier, had not lost in a long time, almost 40 years, since 1986 to no African opposition. We had, and the good thing about it is that Senegal, from a Senegalese standpoint, Senegal were the last team that England locked horns with, and that was in the World Cup in 2022 Qatar, where they beat them by 3-0. But no, in the words of Don Michael Corleone, he said that revenge is a dish that is best served cold. And indeed, that's cold revenge. What do you think about this? I mean, I was glad. I know I'm not Senegalese. Last time I checked, I don't have any Senegalese blood in me. But being an African, it's a thing of joy when we see our brothers do the job, a Senegalese job, So all the way from Dakar to every other part of Africa, I'm very sure that there was a lot of jubilation there for what they did against England.
I mean, I for one was excited to watch that match because I watched the match and I saw England take the lead, but that Senegal side weren't ready to just say die and lie. They kept fighting. Ismail Sarr got the equalizer, then they fought, scored the second goal. England fought back to get a 2-2, but the goal was disallowed. Then there was a 3-1 at the end, and it was a really wonderful match to watch.
Indeed, wonderful match to watch. Fair and square. It was actually a fair game. No magu like we call it in this part of the world.
But the English fans and people of the appreciation will actually differ. You know, a lot of the players were complaining about the female officiating team. The French lady, I think Maria Frappa, talking about little niggly stuff that players always complain about. But I have to commend the Senegalese coach that took over from Aliou Cissé, a legend in Senegal already. Pape Thiaw, the way he has galvanized the team, they're in one of the longest unbeaten runs in Africa.
Yes.
And so it tells you this is not a fluke. They had a game plan, they had a strategy, and they came. And also remember, a lot of these players from England and also from Senegal are coming up of a very difficult, long
campaign
in Europe. So, but it's a beautiful result for African football, and kudos to the Senegalese boys.
Yeah, kudos indeed. Kudos to the Senegalese boys and then to everybody that was involved there. England huffed and puffed, but found nowhere to go. And the likes of Eberechi Eze, who was also involved in that, was not able to do much, even though he had a stellar season. A very wonderful season indeed with his club side, Crystal Palace, who, by the way, are the winners of the FA Cup, the English FA Cup, the oldest cup competition in the world, after 160 years. And by virtue of winning the FA Cup, beating more illustrious rivals, Manchester City in the finals, that gained them a berth to the Europa League. But are they really going to play in the Europa League? Because there is an issue right now. Now, based on the issue of multi-club ownership, it is one of the rules in UEFA, and of course, backed by FIFA, that when you have two clubs being owned by the same owners, the same organization or body of individuals, then there's going to be a conflict of interest if they qualify for the same European competition, which means that one needs to step down. Of course, unless, they meet a deadline where you have, what's that thing called again, a hedge fund. So I'm trying to find a way to explain it in a layman's language there. Because, there's a deadline that was put there, March the 1st, where they could apply and then talk about that. That was actually what clubs like Manchester City did. I think that was 2 seasons ago because of Girona, because Man City and Girona are owned by the same parent company. Yeah. And then you're looking at clubs like Manchester United and Nice, OGC Nice, owned by the same parent company. So they are trying to avoid that. But the March 1st deadline passed. But if you're going to look at the argument of, for those who don't really know what's going on, Crystal Palace qualified for the Europa League because they won the FA Cup. But Olympique Lyonnais in France, being owned by the same group, Textor, exactly. John Textor has a major stake there. I think about 88% in Lyon. Olympique Lyon has just under 50% stake in Crystal Palace. So he's technically seen as an owner, majority shareholder there. So, of course, in fairness to Crystal Palace, now this is me making a case. In fairness to Crystal Palace, even though they did not meet the deadline, Crystal Palace, in their wildest dreams, by that time, March 5th, they were in the 5th round of the FA Cup, about to play Millwall. There were still some heavyweights in the FA Cup at the time. Manchester City was still in the FA Cup, who they met in the final. Liverpool was still in the FA Cup. I think Chelsea was still in the FA Cup at that time. These are some of the,
Tottenham
Hotspur, some of the traditional contenders for the FA Cup. Crystal Palace had never won the FA Cup in their entire history. So they were massive. If there's anything less than underdogs, you call them that, maybe sub-underdogs, if you could call them that. But against all odds, they won the Europa League against their wildest dreams, imaginations. Perhaps they underestimated the ability of Oliver Glasner, their manager. But at the end of the day, they won it. And that means they qualified for the Europa League. So nobody would have seen this issue. Even Nottingham Forest played it out. They did their best to avoid that with Olympiacos and the rest of that. But what's the way forward right now? Is there any hope for them to make a case and argue, and perhaps if the English FA, that's if the FA, if UEFA, because actually this is a UEFA issue, not necessarily the FA, or if UEFA are not able to temper justice with mercy, would it be a case of them having to go to the court for arbitration for sports to plead their case and then let it be judged on his own merit? Because this, for me, these boys will be gutted. they qualified, no matter how you see it, they qualified for the Europa League because they won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So it would be a terrible thing if they do not play.
I mean, on one hand, it's unfortunate to see because, I mean, even if you do hard during the season, you have to keep an eye on your fellow club that is owned by the same parents and know, okay, are we going to challenge for the same competition next season? Do we step down? Do we allow them? It brings this unwanted pressure. I mean, does it mean that teams don't have to go out there, give it their all to try and get into these competitions? Does it mean, okay, I am same owner with so club. If they make it eventually and they look for a long time that they're going to qualify for this tournament, does it mean we ease off the pressure and try not to make it there so that we can avoid these rules? I mean, yeah, I get the control of wanting to keep the owners in check, but it's not fair on the clubs.
Not fair on the clubs and not fair on the players, because for me, my key concern, the players, these guys, look at the very players that I mentioned. Look at Jean-Philippe Mateta. You look at some of the other players.
Joe Ward.
Yes, I mean Joe Ward, the captain, and then everybody that's been involved in the success story of Crystal Palace. These boys did their best and they've tried. So you're looking at that UEFA rules on Crystal Palace due to the ownership concerns. So this ownership issue. Is there any piece of advice, like Zik, I'm coming to you right now, any piece of advice you want to give to UEFA, and then of course FIFA might be looking into this too. Like, you know, somebody said something once, he said that any constitution that will not bend will break. Make of that what you will, but applying it to this situation right now, there needs to be a certain level of flexibility. Or what do you say?
I think you're right. I think you actually hit the nail on the head. There should be flexibility. I think the basic thing right now for UEFA is common sense. You know,
which is not common anymore.
You know, common sense should prevail right now. You have to be gutted for the fans, for the players, because not only the players that are going to lose this fantastic opportunity to Crystal Palace wildest dreams. They have never won any trophy, no major trophy in 119 years. And for them to break this dog under Oliver Glasner, who is a specialist in all this kind of competition. You saw what he did in 2022 with Eintracht Frankfurt. So this particular case is very important. For me, UEFA have to look at their own side of this of this issue. Allowing multiple clubs to be owned by a football group or an individual owner, not only in England, in Spain, in France. So you have to look at your own part in the role that you have allowed, because football is a business. So some people will say, it's not my business to take care of only Crystal Palace. I have interest in France. I have interest in France. I have interest somewhere else. You can't just create a rule or whatever. I look for where I can get profit. But you also have to, like I'm saying, also look at the players. They have never had this opportunity before with Crystal Palace. Look at the fans. They can't dream about this. People that are like several generations of Crystal Palace fans. This is an opportunity that UEFA shouldn't take away from them because of their own rules. You gave these people opportunities to buy multiple clubs. You should also make rules for them to be able to, play a deserved tournament. Yeah.
So in a nutshell, you're saying that UEFA is on trial. All eyes on UEFA.
Yes, this is on UEFA.
So all eyes on UEFA, Emeka. Oh, you think so too?
I mean, Zeke has hit what needs to be said. UEFA are on trial right now. You make the rules, you have to make some flexibilities in case of these kind of situations. I mean, Crystal Palace fought hard for their spot in the Europa League. You can't just take it away from them because they are owned by the same club, by Lyon.
And for me to put just one more thing.
Go ahead.
All these things matter because football, everything is like a symbiosis, it's an ecosystem. Yes. If UEFA give an unfavorable ruling to these players or to this club, it affects the futures of everyone from the manager. And if they give a negative ruling, I'm not sure that a lot of the good players of Crystal Palace might be there. And you might inadvertently break up a beautiful project.
So what we're looking at is if UEFA do not play their cards right, there's going to be a domino effect that will affect the club negatively, more negatively than positively. Yeah, I mean, well spoken, that's basically what it is. But we wish them all the best. By them, I'm referring to Crystal Palace in this matter because I always like fighting for the underdog. And speaking of underdogs, there are some teams that were not exactly underdogs this past season in the English Premier League, and they are part, and because of that, because of their relative success within the time frame of 2021 and 2025, they have qualified for the inaugural new format of the Club World Cup, FIFA Club World Cup, which kicks off tomorrow. And then we have the timetable out. The fixtures are out. You know, if you're not amongst the teams that qualify for the Club World Cup, well, too bad. We're going to talk about that. But the Club World Cup fixtures will come out in a jiffy after this break. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Back to the home of sports on Afia TV. Afia home of sports, of course, like I said there. And you can get us on the frequencies, channel 254 DSTV, channel 17 Go TV, channel 748 Free TV. And also we're running a simulcast, like we said earlier. You can listen to us on Afia 99.3. And we are still in Europe, still in the FIFA Club World Cup. And we've been talking about the fixtures which came out, and FIFA Club World Cup begins tomorrow by 1 a.m. Everybody who wants to see Lionel Messi, one of the greatest footballers of all time, play, will have to watch and see Inter Miami. If you want to stay awake by 1 a.m., well, be my guest. Because Inter Miami will be locking horns with Al Ahly, the most successful side, I repeat, the most successful side in world football. Argue with your keypad, but that's the reality on ground. They've won more titles than any other professional football side, and I'm proud to be an African saying this. So Al Ahly are going to be locking horns with Inter Miami by 1 a.m. And then we're going to have also tomorrow, but this time by 11 p.m. We're going to have Palmeiras up against FC Porto. So I think when they're arguing amongst each other and then bantering, they're not going to have issues because Portuguese will be the language that's been spoken on the pitch. Then also we're going to have, that's for Group A. Then in Group B, we're going to have an all-European tie by 8 p.m. and that is the defending champions of the UEFA Champions League, Paris Saint-Germain, up against Atletico de Madrid. So those are the key features that we're going to have there. And then also by 5 p.m. we have Bayern Munich up against Auckland City. These are some of the key games that will be played tomorrow, the first games in the FIFA Club World Cup. This is a tournament that's going to hold once every 4 years. What are your expectations? Do you think this is going to have more appeal than the former one, the annual Club World Cup, because of the expanded version and then the fact that there are more teams that are involved?
So first off, there are two things you consider when it comes to launching a new tournament structure such as this. It's a pre-season introducer to the next season. It now means that it's a tournament, which means you are fighting for a trophy, you're fighting for cash prize as well. That means there's more pressure on the players, because there are players who will participate in this tournament proper for the next season, and that means you're going to start having fatigue and wear and tear of the players before the next season. This is a way to test fitness, as they say, but at the same time it can also be a bad thing, because key players, if played in this tournament, if they pick injuries, that moves them out for maybe some months getting into the new season. Teams now have to find a way to reshuffle the deck and adapt quickly for the next season. So there are positives and there are negatives to this tournament structure.
Okay, pros and cons everywhere. But I mean, Zik, I don't know. I get Emeka has a lot of merits to his argument. But considering the fact that based on this new format, it's once every 4 years. And that's one of the reasons the transfer window was opened
for 10 days.
Just for 10 days and then shut briefly, so that after the Club World Cup, we'll continue with the summer transfer window, which will close on the 1st of September. Now, I know that players are not machines. I'm an advocate for player health, but this is once every 4 years. Should they have any kind of long-standing negative impact?
Already the football calendar is already in the mud for me because of the accumulation of games, the fatigue, like Emeka mentioned. I think it's all on both UEFA and FIFA. But I don't want to listen to only the UEFA counterparts because, they make the whole lot of money. They have the most commercial broadcasting rights, the most followed teams, Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain, Chelsea, Real Madrid, the names speak for themselves. But I want to come from the side of the lesser known teams. Not that they are lesser, because in their own side, they're already great. The likes of the Al-Ahly, the like of Pachuca, Palmeiras. These games will be games you will see in this period. Sundowns,
yes.
These games are games you will see normally at exhibition level, like friendlies, for this kind of pre-season period. But it's good that FIFA has now made it a tournament that comes with 32 teams once every 4 years. I think it will create an emphasis of growth an emphasis of competition, coming out of a very hectic European season, there are going to be tensions, there are going to be fears, but I want to believe that is going to create more good than bad. That's what I want to believe. And I'm interested, for me, I'm very interested to see how the tournament goes. I'm not going to lie. Some clubs have bought players like Manchester City, they're going to show some of their good players. Real Madrid just unveiled a new coach. Xabi Alonso brought like 3 or 4 players. I want to see how all of them embed themselves. I want to see how PSG also, show the world that they are European champions. So it's going to be interesting.
Okay, so a platform to showcase your shiny new toys. And I mean, that's really wonderful thing indeed. So we are going straight to the transfer window, the transfer gossip that we have, transfer news. Wheeling and dealing. Teams are releasing players. Teams are buying players. Players are deemed to be surplus to requirement. Players are actually looking for a way to sign new contracts and everything. The wheeling and dealing is ongoing. So, Emeka, give it to us. What's going on? First of all,
starting with Man City, as you mentioned, they have concluded a deal with Ait Nuri for 2.5-year contract. That's him right there.
From Wolverhampton Wanderers.
They've also followed up with AC Milan's Tijani Reijers, who is also signing in for Man City this summer. They've also concluded a deal for Ryan Cherki, busy on the market. And also we believe they've signed Benzeni from Chelsea as the backup goalkeeper for next season.
That is brilliant.
That's busy. Arsenal have not been left out in the transfer market as they have signed to be Mendy from Sociedad. Manchester United have completed a move for Matheus Cunha from Wolves. That is a star man, is ready to kick it for the Red Devils. Kekres has not been shy of the market as Liverpool were red hot on his trail and they have succeeded in getting his services to the club, as well as Frimpong as well. Moving on to the next Liverpool star that will be starting off this season, Florian Wirtz, completing his move from Bayer Leverkusen to Anfield.
We even had something, Florian Wirtz, of course, for those who do not know, that's dependent on the situation. If Liverpool win the Premier League or win the Champions League, the price for Florian Wirtz could go up to £116.5 million because it's first of all £100 million agreed with Bayer Leverkusen, and then the add-ons depending on performances, and that could help them win the Premier League again or the Champions League. So he could be the British transfer record, which is held by Liverpool's, Chelsea's. By Moses Caicedo, £115 million. So they could break that record if, that's a big if, they win the Champions League and or the Premier League.
All right. Transfer saga around the Oga boss himself. Would he stay at Napoli? Would he move back to Galatasaray on full transfer, or would he be searching for other clubs in Europe? The man has denied a move to Al Hilal. He has turned down the 4-year contract, which will have seen him get some huge bucks, if they say. Well, that's all on Osimhen. Leo Sané has been confirmed as a Galatasaray player. He has made his move as a free agent from Bayern. Now he's a Galatasaray man, and the fans are buzzing to see Leroy kick off in their club very soon. Moving on to the next, we can't go far from the Blues. They have secured the services of Liam Delap. That has been announced immediately after they won the Conference League. They announced that
that's
they were
for £30 million, right?
Yeah. He's buzzing to kick off at the Stamford Bridge. And the big talking points, the legend himself from the Premier League has moved to Napoli. We're talking about none other than Kevin De Bruyne, the man, go-to man when you say you need assist.
Okay.
Real Madrid's Masatondo saga has come to an end because they have secured his services and he's ready to become a Real Madrid player in August once he turns 18.
Yes, he's from River Plate, for those who don't know, in Argentina.
And they're going to be in the club.
On the other side of the Los Blancos, a man who we've known has been studying Spanish for a long time. Charles Arnold has completed his move to Real Madrid. Sources say he started learning Duolingo since that defeat that night, but let's move on from that. Chelsea unfortunately won't be getting the services of Mike Mann, at least for now, before the Club World Cup, because the deal has been off between them and AC Milan. He's not going to be making the move. The player was keen on joining Chelsea. Chelsea were keen on making it happen, but they couldn't find an agreement. So that deal is off. Another man that everyone was really hoping to watch in the Premier League with Sunderland, but he's made his move to Dortmund. We're talking about the other brother from the Bellingham family, Joe Bellingham. He has completed his 4-year deal to Dortmund, and we're excited to see another Bellingham, another story at Dortmund. Speaking from a Dortmund perspective, Jamie Brino Gittins wanted a move so bad to the Stamford Bridge, but was unable to complete a deal before the Club World Cup. Sources say Chelsea would still want to go for his services after the Club World Cup. That still remains to be seen. And on other news, Tottenham have unveiled a new manager after sacking the only manager to have got to them a title in years. Well, Thomas Frank has been unveiled as the new Tottenham manager.
Okay.
That's it for the transfers, I guess.
So to be frank, I think there's a bit of good news, no pun intended, good business, some business still questionable, but let's keep our fingers crossed. And then finally, we end the show with a piece of news. I think you call it good news because we're talking about tennis right now. The WTA, the Women's Tennis Association, have talked about their support for female tennis stars who are ranked from 750 and above to freeze their eggs, their ovaries, so that later in life they can focus on their careers and then later in life decide to build a family. And then in so doing, their rankings will be protected. Now, this is a very, very big piece of news that gives them the opportunity. In football, you have maternity leave for players who may decide to go and get pregnant and give birth. They are still being paid their wages. Yeah. But that's not the case in tennis. So right now, I think this is a very, very important piece of a step towards equity in sports, because the WTA players, you saw cases of people like Justin Herden, people like Kim Clijsters of Belgium, who years ago went and then she had to go back and then give birth, raise a family, and then come back and then win Masters. We also saw the more recent situation with Serena Williams. After giving birth to her daughter Olympia. She came back, but her rankings plummeted because she had not been active. So I think this is very fair, very, very fair indeed.
I think it's a welcome addition to the board of the WTA and the tennis organizations, because it shows that there's inclusive nature and in their decision making and their process, and they're also showing the players that they are valued and respected.
That's it, Emeka. Really, I
mean, Zeke has hit the nail. I mean, it's a good initiative. It's something that is welcomed. I mean, protecting the ranks of these players and also creating a sense of, okay, we are also looking out for your personal lives as well. It's something good to see that they are trying to look out for the players and keep them not just fit and okay for the game, but trying to create this sense of, okay, we understand nature comes into play from the females in particular, yeah? Trying to give them, okay, let's help you focus on your career while we help you build for the future later on.
I think you couldn't have said anything better. So it's wonderful indeed. The biological clock is not going to be interfered with in terms of making sure that these players further their careers and do what they have to do and then build their families and strike the balance between tennis and motherhood. Indeed, it is a welcome development, and it's a welcome development that we have come to the end of this show because we know that you've had a wonderful time with us here. This has been Afia TV, Afia Home of Sports on Afia TV, and we look forward to doing this again with you on the 21st of June. That's going to be exactly a week from today. And thank you very much for being with us. Stay tuned. There's so much to listen to and watch on Afia TV with the frequency still remaining the same. Until we meet next Saturday, this has been CC the Rabbi.